It's now my huge pleasure to allow Bob Blackman MP to take the podium and give us some introductory remarks.
Well, thank you, Anna. Thank you, friends, and it's great to be with you once again. And it's great to start the conference over the next 2 days when we'll be here with this year's Free Iran World Summit. And I've had the opportunity to attend many of these gatherings over the years. And I start by paying tribute and remembering two very good friends of mine. Brian Binley, who many of you will know was with us on many occasions, very sadly succumbed to cancer in the end, and our great friend Sir David Amess, who was murdered in the course of doing his job as a politician. As I said, I've had the opportunity of being here on many occasions, including the 2018 summit. And the regime in Iran tried to disrupt that summit. They tried to bomb us. They tried to destroy world leaders. They tried to murder Madame Rajavi. So I've got a message for them. You failed. You'll continue to fail. We're here for a free Iran. Now, that perfectly actually explains what's going on in Iran with the sustained protests going on since September last year. And I pay tribute to those very brave individuals who are putting their lives on the line every day to protest against the theocratic regime. That's now spread to 283 cities and every one of Iran's 31 provinces. And that's despite the severe violent crackdown by the regime with their anti-regime slogans. And indeed, we know the IRGC and their other cohorts have done everything they can to suppress the protests, whether it be within Iran or outside. Now, I think Iran is on the verge of major change. And it's vital then that we press Western governments, all governments, to take action. Because the fact is that one government acting alone will not change the regime in Iran. So their policy and our policies must change because of the current policy that the Iranian revolution, theocratic regime is pursuing. The diplomacy and incentives to change just have failed to deliver. So the West's soft-line approach has allowed the regime to oppress the Iranian people, export terrorism, and destabilize the Middle East with impunity, while also incentivizing its nuclear escalation to the extent that Iran is now on the brink of becoming a nuclear state. Now, we already know that Iran has the ballistic missiles to deliver nuclear weapons. We already know they're on the verge of obtaining nuclear weapons. Just imagine the threat to the West, to the region, and everyone around the world if there's a nuclear Iran. Now, if the UK and European governments continue this approach, they will stand against the people of Iran in favour of the regime. This would place all of us on the wrong side of history and allow the regime to continue its unacceptable and illegal behaviour with complete impunity. Now, we need a firm policy, and that policy has got to be enacted by all Western government that keeps and strengthens the shift of power in favour of the people of Iran rather than the mullahs. And as the majority of parliaments and many parliamentarians from European countries have highlighted in their statements last month, the basis of the West's new firm policy on Iran should be, and I'll set this out. Number one, prescribe the IRGC in its entirety and sequestrate their assets so they can be used for the benefit of the Iranian people. To hold the regime to account by referring its appalling human rights dossier to the United Nations Security Council for prosecution. To recognise and endorse the NCRI with Mrs. Mariam Rajavi's 10-point democratic platform as the viable democratic alternative to the current regime. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this has got every ingredient to succeed because it's rooted in the reality that the NCRA are the main Iranian opposition. The PMOI, MEK and Mrs. Rajavi have been leading the struggle for democratic change in Iran ever since the mullahs stole the previous democratic revolution back in 1979. Now, some of you may not have been around in politics in 1979, but I remember it well. And the hope for Iran was legion. Sadly, that hope has been diminished. And today, the resistance units are playing a crucial role in spreading, mobilising and advancing the ongoing protests and anti-regime activities across Iran, giving hope to millions of Iranians at this decisive moment by tearing down the wall of oppression raised by the regime. Now, free and democratic Iran is within reach because the people of Iran are determined to overthrow the regime, and the organised resistance movement exists and has a democratic alternative for the future of Iran. This is the message that we are going to convey at this year's Free Iran World Summit. As we say, onward to a democratic public, next year in a free Iran, next year in a free Tehran.